Welcome back to Unraveled Game Thoughts, and I have back at the table my Magic decks. So I just figured I'd post some videos of these, and right now I've already played two games where my what I call my Living Death deck has lost 3 times to my Mutation deck, which was a little bit of a surprise. The Mutation deck has turned out to be a little bit better than I thought it was. And I don't know if I just, had some bad luck with Living Death. Usually it is pretty dominant with most of my decks. So these could be 2 of the better ones. We'll see. There's quite a few other decks to get through, but each deck has its fair share of weaknesses and strengths. These happen to be 2. The Mutation was just a gimmick. I say gimmick. It was sort of a one of the abilities in a set from a couple years ago, I think now. And I thought it sounded pretty neat, so I built a deck around it. And so it just turned out to be a better deck than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be fun. And it was like, oh, this kind of turned out to be a decent deck. So if you watch this video and you are really good at Magic, or just have a brilliant idea, even if you're not good at Magic, and you have a suggestion that you would add or consider adding to one of these decks, please post it in the comments. I would love to, I'd love any ideas of maybe a card that I, have not considered. So for the purposes of suggesting a card, if you're like, hey, what about this card? If your suggestion is, oh, you could use a Black Lotus in that, I am not going to be obtaining a real Black Lotus card. If it's a card that's even like 20 or 30 bucks, I am probably not going to be obtaining that card. However, if you have a creative suggestion for a card that's common or uncommon or more reasonably obtainable, then I'd love to hear that. I mean, honestly, if you have a comment on a card that's not really that obtainable, I'd love to read it just for curiosity's sake. But if it ends up being a high dollar card, I'm probably not going to be putting that in my deck, just because while there are a few high dollar cards in here, they are cards that I just got out of packs. And I, once in a blue moon, will play in a sealed deck tournament or buy some packs of cards, but it's fairly, it's less frequent because I tend to invest more of my time and energy into board games. I tend to play with the 4, 5, 6, 7, where, obviously I'm two-handed, so this is not going to always be perfect because sometimes it's hard to think, in a two-handed way all the time. But I'm looking at this. I've got a plains and I've got a swamp and I've got some things I can play right out of the bat. So I'll probably keep that and hope for more land down the road. And we've got 3, 4 land here. No black. Enough to play a Gem Raiser though. And a Sea Dasher Octopus. So there's some... It's not the best draw, but it's not terrible, and I can actually get the Vault Scourge out with some life. So I think we will probably go with this. I think that will work. So now the way I do drawing for these deck tournaments is I look at the top card and I determine what's the best card, and that gets to go first. So Dirge Bat I'm going to consider the best between a basic land, which is kind of the lowest thing you can get, and a Dirge Bat is definitely a good card. This one, they have to put both on the bottom, but because he had to put the best card on the bottom, Mutation gets to go first. And going first has its advantages, especially with the Mutation deck. So we're going to skip the draw because it's the very first turn of the game. And Mutation's going to go with a green land and this Vault Scourge he can get out. This is called Phyrexian mana, and it's either played with a black mana in this case because it's a black Phyrexian card, or 2 life. So I'm actually going to pay 2 life and then the 1 land to get that out, because that can start doing some damage and gaining some life back. So I might be able to get that 2 life back that I just lost. So we will see how that works out for me. And now Living Death is going to draw. Oops. So these are some of the cards in here are flipped cards, and that one was a flip card and it was flipped. So it should be on the other side. So let's see. Well, if he's going to hit me with a Living Death, I could get the Cathedral Sanctifier out, but I'm not going to be able to block him, and I largely use that with another card in this deck to gain life. So it's not really going to be an effective blocker right now. I could play it. It's thought-provoking, but I think just in case I draw one of those other cards that benefits from the Cathedral Sanctifier coming into play, I'm going to hold and see if we get something better. So that is turn 1. One of the things I've been doing is tracking how many rounds a particular game takes or a deck takes to get a win. I don't know if that's helpful information, but I've been tracking it just in case. So that's the end of round 1. We're on round 2. Mutagen gets to draw a card, and we're going to play a blue mana, and well, we're going to get a huge advantage. So I would declare attack. I know that this deck doesn't have anything that it can do about the attack, but if it had been a real opponent, it would give them an opportunity to respond. And he is going to be unblocked, and what I'm going to do is this has flash, and so before damage is dealt, we're going to flash this octopus into play. And this octopus is going to have all the abilities it's going to have flying, it's going to have lifelink, and it's now 2/2 because it's the creature on top. And whenever it deals damage to an opponent, I will get to draw a card. So we're going to gain 2 life. Living Death is going to take 2 damage, and this guy's going to draw a card, and then that is the end of that turn. All right, so we're going to go over here to Living Death, and we've got a vampire card. That's not bad. We're definitely going to play our black land, and so we have some choices now. Again, I could play the Cathedral Sanctifier. This is not a bad one. I can pay 2 life to draw a card. It's an enchantment. If I have less than 5 life at the beginning of my upkeep, I'll transform it. The problem is I am starting to take damage, and I probably need to give some damage as well. But this guy is going to help my other vampires. So let's go ahead and put him into play and see if we can get something going here. All right, so moving on to round 3. He's going to untap the land. And right now, Mutagen definitely has a significant advantage. See, when this comes into play, it can destroy an artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Well, there's no artifacts or enchantments on Living Death's side. So it does offer trample, excuse me, and some good power. But I don't think we want to do that just yet. I think I'm going to do a couple of things. I am going to first, I would do what I would normally do is I'm probably not adding anything to this. I'm going to see how he responds to the attack. Well, he doesn't have anything. Mana's tapped. He's not flying. He is flying. So 2 damage to Living Death, and we're going to gain 2 life over here and get to draw a card. That's number 1. All right, number 2, we're going to pay 2 of that life, and put that land into play, the Watery Grave, which is a dual land, and if I pay 2 life, I can bring it into play untapped. So we're going to do that because speed is our friend, and we are going to tap it to play a Zagoth Mamba, which will help us get rid of creatures. And we're going to go ahead and set ourselves up for some more life with an Essence Symbiote. Every time a creature I control mutates, I put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and gain 2 life. So that's a pretty good setup, and Living Death is going to have a hard time figuring out what to do here. So we have a Terramorphic Expanse. That is not too bad. That'll help us a little bit, and we could certainly use an extra land here. I think the card draw is really, I'm interested in it, but not yet. I want to, but we're going to hold off just a bit longer. We're going to play the Cathedral Sanctifier to go up to 19 life and get a little bit of the damage that we've taken back. And we are also going to sacrifice the Terramorphic Expanse to get a Swamp and put that into play tapped and shuffle our library. Now he's got a, whoops, I've got a 2/2 here, Vampire, and he's got this. Now he's got stuff that can probably, if he, what do you call it, mutates that creature, it's going to give another creature on my side, or on this side, -2, -2, and this is just going to give him a lot of life. So honestly, I'm just going to attack with that and see if he blocks. And over here on the Mutagen side, I feel like my creatures are better and more beneficial to me if I don't block with them. I could take out the Vampire, but that Vampire I don't think is hugely advantageous or negative toward me or advantageous for him. So I'm just going to take 2 damage, and that will be my turn. And then we will go on to round 4. All right. So Mutagen still in a decidedly better advantage state here, I would say. We're going to play a Forest. And, well, let's see. That's still not going to be helpful at this point. The Volt Scourge will just keep building me up, and I will keep doing damage. Wouldn't mind getting rid of the Vampire or something else, but let's just play Vault Scourge, no life this time. I will attack with this, and I will attack with this. Now, this guy is going to get through because he's flying, so that's not going to hurt. I'm going to block the Essence Symbiote with that. And I will take 2 down to 17, which he will gain 2 because of the lifelink, and get to draw a card. And I've already played a land this turn, so I am going to go ahead and tap another mana to play a Mysterious Egg. That gives me, whenever it mutates, I get a +1/+1 counter on it. And I think next turn we are going to probably do some pretty significant damage to Living Death with this deck. So the Legion Lieutenant is going to untap. I'm going to draw a card. The Lone Rider is the card I really kind of wanted the Cathedral Sanctifier for, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Right now, we're gonna give decisions because that's a 2/3 flyer with Death Touch and Lifelink, and it's 2/3, but the other vampires now makes it a 3/4, which means that's a little bit more formidable. Although if he mutates this, I know that this is going away. So I'm going to go ahead and attack with that because there's no reason not to. He could block, but it's going to be, you know, he's going to lose a creature that's going to be more valuable to him than me. So Mutagen is definitely going to take that 2 damage, and that is going to do it for this side, and we're going to go to round 5. All right, now this is going to get pretty grisly for the Living Death deck, I think, this round. We are pretty well set up. We've got lots of options. So the question is going to be, what do I want to do? He's got this flyer here, which is kind of painful and could make it hard. So the question is, can I mutate 2 things? Well, I don't think I can. And I can't just outright destroy this creature. And he's got Death Touch, so if he does any damage to my creature, I am going to lose the creature, which is going to be not fun. But I do have some options, and I could certainly take out that vampire to make things easier. So I think what I'm going to do is tap 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And I am going to cast Dreamtail Heron on this creature, which whenever this creature mutates, a target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. So he's going to get -2/-2. He's going to die. And whenever this creature mutates, I draw a card. So I'm also going to get to draw a card. And what else? Whenever a creature I control mutates, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So this will be a 4/5 with flying. And I gain 2 life. So I'm back up to 20. So now the question is, do I want to attack? I've got a 2/2 flyer. This is a tough choice. I hate to lose a creature, but I hate not pressing the attack. And I have other options as well. But I'm going to lose some important creatures. And next turn, I should be able to take out that creature in one fell swoop and not lose any of my creatures. So I'm going to go ahead and hold. And the options we have for next turn are pretty good. So we're going to hold and see what we can do here. All right. This was not the best land I wanted, but it's not the worst either. He's got that guy out, so I don't really want to put anything out that is going to help that too much. I'm going to go ahead and play my Bloodfast card, Bloodfast. And that is pretty much all I can do beyond the Terramorphic Expanse, which I will get a black for. Oh, nope, I'm not going to get a black. I am going to get a white because I actually have a card I want to be able to play, and it is going to be helped by the number of creatures you control that were destroyed this way. Okay, so we've got ourselves a Bloodfast, and we've got ourselves that vampire. Do we want to attack with the vampire? We will either lose it and take out one of his creatures, or we will gain some life. I'd rather have the blocker because I think it's more, it keeps him at bay. So we're going to leave him as a blocker and hope that he doesn't have a way to reduce to do this guy twice. All right. So moving on to round 6. And let's see here. All right. Okay. We're going to draw a card. Another Vault Scourge. We'll go ahead and play a Swamp. And I am... Oh, now he's got an artifact. So if I tap those two forest and a deal there, and I mutate this creature, it is now going to get a second +1/+1 because of this, and I will gain 2 life, and we'll give this creature a -2 until end of turn. It's not really a counter, but it just gets -2, so it's 0/1 now. It won't do damage, which means I could kill it if it blocks. And then we're going to take out that artifact with no use. And we get to draw a card. So the next thing we're going to do is tap these 3. And we'll just make life easier on ourselves. I'm going to put this guy down below. And hopefully I can arrange these in such a way that they look correct. All right. So we don't have to do this in any particular order, but he's going to get -2/-2, which is going to knock him out. He's going to get another +1/+1, so he's now a 7/7. I'm going to get to draw another card, and whenever this creature mutates, each opponent loses X life, and I gain X life, where X is the number of times this creature is mutated, which is 3. So he is going down to 14, and I am going up to 25, and then I am attacking for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he will be down to 2. And that's it for that. And what else are we supposed to be doing here that I am forgetting? I don't think I got the extra... maybe I did get the extra life for that. I can't remember for sure. But I am supposed to draw a card for him doing damage and gain 2 life for him as well. So 7, and then 8 because of this guy here. 8. And technically this guy, he doesn't have lifelink, so he's not going to get all that. But that is, it is now 28 to whatever Living Death has, which is not much. So coming back over to Living Death with 2 life, drawing a land, could have used that a couple turns ago. And I mean, we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do those and destroy all creatures. I won't gain any life because none of them are mine. But we're going to destroy all creatures, which is going to knock out this entire board over here. It probably won't matter at this point, but we will see. That is discarded. That is all he can do, and he is done. So now, Mutagen is kind of starting from scratch, but he's not terrible off. We'll tap that and a forest, play a Vault Scourge, and at least get that out to try to finish the job here in a bit. And that was 7. So now we are doing the back half of 7. Still get now I'm getting too much land. That's a 1/1 flying. We need to block it. So we're going to tap those 4. And we are going to put Falkenrath Noble in play. So whenever another creature dies, target player loses a life and I gain a life. All right. Moving on to 8. Round 8. Let's see what Mutagen can come up with. Let's see. we will go ahead and play, you know what, I don't think I need to play that land. I'm going to play my Opulent Palace, which is a tricolor land. These are usually pretty slow, but in this deck with black, green, and blue, they're actually pretty handy, because then you have all the mana you need. Let's see. He's 2/2. I'm going to attack with that. He is going to block with that. Well, hold on a second. Let's hold off on the attack yet. If I attack, I could flash this in, but then I'm losing both these creatures with nothing else to show for it. And that's going to help him with the life, and I will be behind the 8-ball again with no creatures. So I'm going to trust my deck in that it is going to get me something later that will be useful and not just let him gain life to kill a creature. So let's go on and see what happens. Okay. All right. So we are going to play a Banehound. And that has lifelink and haste, 1/1. And we're going to attack with both of these. So now I have a choice with Bolt Scourge. Well, I think the drawing of cards is going to be more valuable to me than this little bit of life. He's going to go up to 3. I will take 3 damage over here, which is very acceptable. And after the attack, I will then play a Lone Rider, which has first strike and lifelink. Then at the beginning of the end step, if I gain 3 or more life this turn, I will transform him. I'm not gaining 3 life during the end. I won't have gained 3 life, so during the end step, I'm not going to worry about it. That's all I can do. And now Mutation is going to take his turn, and we are on 9. All right. Well, I feel pretty confident in cycling this crystal because we really need to get stuff through. He doesn't have flying there. So I am going to attack with the Volt Scourge, and I am going to tap 2 more lands to flash in the Octopus on top of it. Since he doesn't have a blocker, that's going to knock him down to 1. And I'm going to get to draw a card, and I gain 2 life for doing the damage. And since I drew a card, I'm going to play the Mamba because that can help me get rid of things. And I am going to play the Crystalline Giant. I'll have to wait till combat next turn to see what he gets as far as a random counter. And then we'll go from there. All right. So we did not gain any life that round, so he's not going to get anything. All right, so, oh, that's tapped. I'm going to leave it tapped. We are in a pickle here. I really can't afford to lose life. But one thing I am going to do is I am going to definitely tap these 4 and play Teysa Karvlov. Now, this is an interesting creature. It's 2/4. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent I control to trigger, that ability triggers additional time. Creatures I control have vigilance and lifelink. So that puts me in an interesting situation because this guy will trigger every time another creature dies, and there are lots of creatures on the field that can die here. I'm also going to put this guy out, another Banehound, and we're going to go ahead and attack with both of these. I don't think I want to attack with that one, but I'm going to attack with both of those. Haste and lifelink, and we're going to see what he does with them. I've got 1 life. So Mutagen has a tough choice because he could take out those fellas, but each one that dies is going to give me 2 life, and he's going to lose 2 life. And then if his creature dies, that's going to happen as well. So the question is it better just to take the damage and not take out a creature and try to get something through, or to go some other route? Well, I think, because the other option is the Crystalline Giant, but I think we're just going to let it through. We're going to take 2 damage and go down to 5, which means he'll go up to 3. He only gains 2 life that way because nobody will have died. So this won't trigger, that won't trigger, and this one won't trigger for an end step. And that might give us a little bit better advantage toward trying to finish this game off. We'll have to see how it goes. So we've got our land. I don't know. It's probably not showing up on camera, the mana off to the side, but let's just say it's plenty of mana. All right, so we've got an Auspicious Starix. It's got a mutate for 3 and 5, and whenever the creature mutates, exile cards from the top of the library until you exile X cards, where X is the number of times it's mutated, and put those permanent cards onto the battlefield. Ooh, and it would be a 6/6. Well, before combat, I have to roll this. So, flying, first strike, death touch, hexproof, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, vigilance, and +1/+1. So 10. I really need a 10-sided die. So I think this is it. Yeah. So I'm going to roll this because I get a random counter, and it's 5. So the way I do this is it's just I go 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this has lifelink now. And if I get lifelink, thus far I've been able to keep up with it in my head. I wish I had a card, but I don't have a card for it. So I just got to live with what I got here. Now the question is, I really want to take out a creature, and probably that creature is going to be the best to take out. So that's going to cost us a green and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do that. Okay, leaves me a little bit of everything else. So we will mutate that. So now I have a 6/6 with this ability, and when it mutates, I look at the top card. Until you exile, whenever this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanent cards. Well, this is X. X is the number of times the creature is mutated. I did 1. That would be exiled. And then I put these permanent cards into the battlefield, which is fine. And then I can take out a creature. I'm going to take out this creature, which will trigger twice. I will get 2 life, and you will lose 2 life. But I have... the mutagen's gotten rid of that creature that's going to potentially hurt me. So with these in mind and no more life to gain. Oh, and these guys have vigilance too. I forgot all about that. I'll gain 2 life. This might transform, which could be tricky. I've got flying, no, what do I have? Lifelink on this guy. But he could get blocked. 6/6. This has flying. Does anything have flying over there? No. Let's just do 2 damage and gain 2 life, and not cause anything else to die or him to gain any life. I'll get to draw a card, and he will go down to 3, and we will hope that that is enough to start the whittling process. So, no cards in hand, didn't gain any life to help with that. Man, this is a tough situation now. So we'll play that, And nothing's gonna help me. I just need blockers and can do something. So we're gonna leave that out and go to round 10. I think I forgot to do it last round too, so we'll do 11. All right. Is there anything to gain? Like, well, that is pretty good. And all I need to do is 3 damage. Man, there's a land. I feel like that is going to be pretty good. So let's mutate this, and we're gonna take out. Ooh, let's reduce the Nighthawk down to 0, 1, so it can't take anything out since it's flying. And we get to exile X cards till you exile X permanent cards. So 1, I need a permanent card, permanent card. So these 2 come into play. So, oh, permanent cards. What a doofus. These 2 would have actually been first. I'll just pretend I didn't see those. Yeah, because lands are permanents. Durr. All right. So I would have put those into play. Onto the battlefield. All right. We have to roll for our lovely guy here. I got a 4, so he has hexproof and lifelink. All right. I think we're gonna attack with the 3/3 there. Oh, and I also, since that permanent had gone through, that's gonna get him down to 2, and this is gonna go to 7 because of the losing X life and gaining X life. And we get to take out a creature. Well, we did -2, -2 on that guy. So we're just gonna attack with all of these and see what Living Death does. All right. I'm tapped, I'm tapped, I'm tapped. Can we stop much of this? If I use that to block that, that keeps that from doing damage. That doesn't have trample or anything, so I could block all that with that. I can block all that with that. That's still going to do damage. You know what? This will be better. So if I block these, then 1, 2, 3 are going to die, but I will get 2 life from that. This will not die, but it will gain me 2 life. So during end phase, so I'm going to gain 2, 4 life, and then that transforms. So I'm going to be up to 5 with a first strike trample lifelink, and that's it. These guys are all tapped. Took out a bunch of creatures, but didn't get any damage through. Blocked, block, block, block. Yep, didn't get. Now he had lifelink as well, so that's going to get him up to 30 for that. And that had lifelink as well, so that's going to be 32. And oh, I'm not going to draw a card for it because he didn't get to do that. So that is that. And now Living Death gets another turn. 5 life, staying alive. Now that's a mana, but I'm just going to keep it in my hand because he doesn't know what is in my hand, and I want Mutagen to think a little bit. Now, if he attacks with everything, I am almost for sure dead. But my creatures have vigilance. Oh, creature tokens have vigilance and lifelink. Creature tokens, not all creatures. So I would not have transformed him, actually, because this would not have had lifelink. Oh. Okay. Only creature tokens. Good to know. All right. I might as well keep the blockers back just in case. And I would have also been only at 3, not what I thought I was. So we're going to draw a card, and what do we want to do? No flyers, only 3. We have to roll this before combat, see what we get. 5, which I just skipped to the next one if I already had 5. So lifelink menace. So it has to be blocked by 2 creatures if it's blocked at all. And it's got hexproof and lifelink. So we're going to attack with that. We're going to attack with that. We are going to attack with that. And we're going to attack with that. Which there is no... I'm pretty sure no way to get around it. I am going to take a minimum of, 4 damage? Minimum of 4. I'm going to have to take this unless I block both of those, and then I take 6. So yeah, I'm going to be taking a minimum of 3, 4, 5 damage. I'd gain 1 life. That's game. So that is Mutagen for the win. That was turn 11 and 32. I mean, technically probably more, but I'm just going to go with the 32 for now because I'm not, doing science experiments. So Mutagen has beaten this 4 times in a row, my Living Death deck. So, and it seems like, what's interesting is the Living Death actually has a lot of things to deal with creatures, but it has not been able to pull out the cards it needs when it needs it. Terramorphic Expanses are pretty slow. The Mutagen deck has just been versatile enough to take out quite a few decks. There was one deck that gave it trouble, and I can't remember what it was. I feel like it was my Weird Science deck. But I feel like we can pretty safely say the Mutagen is better. I feel like it's normally too slow, and part of me wonders if we played another 10, another 5 rounds or 4 rounds, would Living Death not be a little bit more, come out a little better? But I think the land, I would like to do something about the land in the Living Death deck, because I think if I can speed up the land aspect, that would probably help a good bit. This game did not really fully draw out what it is supposed to do. Typically when I'm doing a kind of that, like I did that Kaya's Wrath, which is like a Wrath of God, I usually have at least 1 creature, if not 2, that give me a life for every creature that's killed and do 1 damage to the opponent for every creature that's killed. And in this case, I just never got one of those on the field. And there are, like 6 of them in the deck? Something like that. There's quite a few. There's definitely the, what do you call it? The vampire, I'm struggling with the name. Blood Assistant or something? Oh, Blood Artist. Blood Artist. There's like 4 of those in there, and I think 2 of the Falkenrath Nobles. I think there's only 2. There's the Indulging Patrician that kind of does something similar. But yeah, just never got any of those Blood Artist out, which I generally get one most games, but Yeah, there you go. Living Death did not hold its weight. That is a round of my Magic the Gathering personal two-handed tournament. So, thank you for joining me, and have a great rest of your day.